Make sure the mic's on. The green light's
Dave, do you
on.
think
Yep.
you could hand this out?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, don't hand it out, just hand it around. I'm Abby Westbury. I'm working with Maine Coast Fishermen's Association on a project regarding fishermen's wellness. I'm not going to take up much of your time because I know these meetings are short and you have a lot to pack in. Basically, it's just a program funded by FEMA but administered by Maine Coast Fishermen's Association that gives us the opportunity to provide one-on-one counseling to members of the fishing community on a broad array of issues. So if fishermen want to, chat about grants or resources for their docks or boats, for their businesses, talk about community support that could help foster their businesses, or any other sorts of those things. Also mental health and physical health resources too. We can provide counseling on that. How we're kind of envisioning it is a service where fishermen can basically come to us with any questions that they have about their business and how to keep it operational or flourishing. And if we don't have the answer, we can do the research for them. So it's centered on being a fisherman-centric resource that we're building out. All members of the working waterfront community are eligible, including our heritage fishers like shellfish harvesters, lobstermen, that community, aquaculturists, and also members of fishing families are eligible for these programs. And I just wanted to ask whether at these upcoming meetings that you guys have, if it would be possible if I could drop some flyers or maybe lurk around in an unthreatening way to see if anyone would be interested in accessing this program. It's totally free and anonymous, but I'll defer to the committee if you all think that would be a useful thing to do.
I think so. That's going to be your audience,
Yeah.
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
I personally don't have a problem with it. You, David?
No, I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
If you bring cookies, more people will talk to you.
I will bring cookies, so I hope you'll come up and talk to me as well, Darcy.
Yeah, good one, Darcy.
Yeah, and obviously you all are pretty leaders in this community around the town, so if you do know anyone who might benefit from this, even if it's just to like rant about offshore wind or something for 30 minutes, please just give them my number or email address and I can set up something to help them out. Great. Thank you so
Abby.
much.
Thank you.
All right, working group member announcement. Anybody here? We're short a few people, but nothing?
I was wondering if anybody found out about looking into or it's a map that defined constricted currents at all.
I haven't yet, but I was kind of under the gun. I have to get on a boat tonight, and I'll be gone for 10 days, so I was getting a bunch of stuff ready for that. But as soon as I get back, I'm going to see if we can find a layer or some sort of work that's been done that makes that a little bit easier to kind of pin down.
Yeah, because, if not, we'll have to go by the depth chart.
Yep. We may have to just
identify-
start out with winging it, and then we can just fine-tune that as we go
Yeah.
along and get more good data.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No?
Is Chris coming tonight? Do you guys know? Anybody?
Margaret didn't say anything. She usually lets me know. But
He's right outside the door.
Oh,
What's that?
Chris.
What is the door locked?
Is it?
Oh, no, here comes,
Yeah, everybody else?
Sticking lately? I got one.
Oh, you did? Oh, that door locked.
I came here last night, the door was locked. So what happens, you dig double ties. He did too.
Was it kind of quiet?
Yeah, it was. That's like brutal. I pulled the email up. I'm like, unreal.
All right. Chris or Sammy, we're at working group member announcements. Got anything, Chris? No? Sammy? No. All right. Preparation for community engagement meetings. Sunday, schoolhouse.
so I had a large format NOAA chart made of just Harpswell. That's what that outer dark boundary is. They made that down at the Darling Marine Center for us. I had them just do one. I wanted to see how we liked it. I think it's pretty good. It's a nice size. It's easy to read. I'm going to have them do one for each meeting so that it doesn't get too busy with, each meeting adding to it. I think also we should still print out some of the smaller format ones just so that everyone has every opportunity to share their information in whatever way they feel comfortable. If people don't want to go stand up in front of everyone and put stuff on the map, they can just take some of the little ones home with them or do them there. If people do want to take away the smaller maps and work on them later or whatever, I thought it'd be nice if we could just make it all right for them to drop them off at the town office at any point in time, or to any of us if they know us or work with us, just so that we have an opportunity to get as much input from as many people as possible for this. I went and also got a whole bunch of colored pens for all the colors that we talked about. So there's fat ones, skinny ones, you know, whatever. They're all grouped in the colors that we talked about, except I saw on the thing, on the minutes, that we said high value fishing areas and constricted currents are pink, and I had black in my notes, so I had some black Sharpies in there, but we can kind of wing that one. I don't know if pink is good. I don't want them to get confused with lobster grounds, which are red, so we can talk about that more, I guess, if you guys want. But basically, we have the materials, so hopefully we'll get some good input. I just gave Paul the flash drive with all of those little tiny maps, so there'll be a bunch of those printed out. Unfortunately, I can't be at the first one on the 15th. I'm getting on a boat for a job tonight, and I don't get back until the 21st, so I'll be at the other two, but I'm kind of hoping you guys can kind of, some of you will be there and can kind of take the lead and maybe do like an example. Chris, if you want to mark out some lobster territory on there just to show people what we're looking for. We don't want it all filled in necessarily like giant swaths. Like if we can be pretty specific, that would be great. And then all the work that Jerry did on the other stuff that you've collected is going to kind of be our baseline to check and see, all right, have we missed some stuff? Like when we feel like we've done this, we've gone through all 3 meetings, I just want to look at your stuff and make sure we don't have big gaps that are like, all right, well, why don't we have anything here? And then maybe between us, we can figure out where the gap is and talk to specific people that we know work those areas so that we can get absolutely as much as possible on here. The other thing we need to make sure we do is have a sign-in list for anybody who participates. It would be great to get, at a minimum, what fishery they're involved in. If they want to give their license number, they don't feel weird about that, that would be great. I just feel the more we can validate the work that we're doing, the more seriously DMR will take it. They're not going to question that, you know, oh, we just made this up to, you know, close a bunch of areas off from aquaculture. It'd be good to show we did this legitimately, very transparently, very inclusively. So I think being able to document how many commercial harvesters actually were part of mapping this information is really important too.
And email, if they want to be involved in like future communication.
I mean, yeah, I as much as so, I mean, people generally don't like, you know, adding extra stuff to their plate, but it would be great, people who maybe like show up at the meeting, the first one, and, you know, they know people that couldn't come, or they know people who are like, man, I don't really think it's worth my time, and then afterwards they think, yeah, maybe it is. I was also thinking maybe we can leave this up after the first meeting in the entryway at the town office, and if people want to come and add to it, that way it's easily accessible, it's right there. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but like I said, I just want to collect as much information as we can from as many Harpswell people.
So we're identifying 6 different fisheries, correct?
Yes, we've got lobster, pogies, shellfish, scallops, and then I think, what did we have, red? What does it have on the thing? Yeah, lobster, pogies, shellfish, scallops. And then we suggested even adding like the color green for if people have thoughts on like, I think aquaculture would be okay here, it would be out of the way, they can make a note of that on the map. And then we had for making a note on constricted currents, we have pink on our notes, but I had black, but that's almost something that, like David, you could do a lot of work on that. You kind of have a good idea. I don't know that we need a broad consensus on constricted currents. It's kind of obvious looking at the charts and stuff, so I'm not too worried about that one having its own.
Well, I would tell you from experience, one map is going to be really too difficult to identify all those fisheries on. We had a map half that size dedicated just solely for each individual fishery, because you're going to see an overlay and it's going to end up a mess if you're trying to all pull it off on one map.
Well, that's why I think if we do a different one for each meeting, then it won't be quite as busy. And then also, we can still do like the smaller ones as well and have those get filled in. We kind of have to try it out and see how it goes, I think.
Yeah.
Do
we have the funds for 4 different maps?
Yeah.
I'm just getting them printed and I
I'm
think,
just curious, maybe we just break it down into two,
Yeah.
you know, shellfish,
Well, if you did,
aquaculture in one, and lobsters, sanding in another possibly.
2 at each meeting, you mean?
I mean,
Or three.
two maps, one meeting, 2 maps, you know, split up the color coordinate, this way we don't just jumble everything. all
Yeah,
at once.
you're gonna see an overlay of
3 and
like,
3.
you're gonna see an overlay of like 4 different colors.
yep, that's,
on this
that's
map.
totally a
If you do
possibility.
three,
If you
three,
guys
this
want to try
works.
and do that, I can talk to Hattie and have her whip out another 1 or 2 really quickly for the first meeting. They're roughly $50 a piece to have these printed. I'm just buying them right now
Yeah.
with my company money, but if the
Oh.
town wants to chip in, that would be
No.
great.
You Paul the bill?
Yeah, no, yes,
Okay.
Darcy and I have talked, she's gonna,
Yeah,
Okay, good. Yeah.
I agree. I think if we can split it up, that's awesome.
idea.
Yeah, well, that's how we did it before.
Yeah.
I mean, it only makes sense to reserve a map for each individual fishery.
So let's
It's a
then.
good size though.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
happy with I think you can see the depth contours pretty well and outlined. So are we saying we want 3 for each meeting? Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah, it may not be too
It's gonna be
jumbled.
I don't know if we,
3 times, that'd be 9, it'd be $450. Could do 2 for every meeting.
Yeah.
I could have 3 printed and then see if we need 3, and then if you feel like you can get it with 2, we'll save 1 for the next meeting. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's an important thing.
I think so
Township
too.
thing.
I think $500 to
Yeah.
Yeah.
document where our fisheries are is a minimal investment.
Well, my biggest concern is the overlay with all those different colors.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to distinguish it when
I mean, you
when
could,
edit it.
if anything, you could kind of clump like, you know, like scallop beds and pokey fishing grounds and shellfish flats, you know, kind of probably won't overlay as bad, you know, like if you had lobstering off by itself, then the rest of them
Yeah.
probably wouldn't overlay too bad.
Dana has a question, comment?
No, just sort of an option from the field here. If you get some clear Mylar and lay it over the map, you could have one layer, and then you could stick them all together, you could see the overlap before you go to the digital world where you're gonna do that anyways, and you could kind of put one layer on top and see where those overlaps are.
I think I would just assume have hard copy maps. Like for me, when I'm going to turn these into shape files, I'm going to have to actually scan sections of them anyway. So it's going to be easier for me to scan a paper that's got stuff marked up on it. So I'll talk to Hattie and see if we can get 2 more of these ready for the first meeting and start from there. And I think that's a great idea to spread it out as much as we can.
So are you saying, David, you'd have
We can say,
3 fisheries for one and the others for the other, and then put them together?
Yeah,
But-
whatever works, I mean,
But you'd do them all? They'd all be?
we're still
all the-
covering all the fisheries.
Yeah.
It's just that it would be like, okay, lobstermen, you guys put all your stuff on
Okay,
this map.
yeah.
And then like clammers, you guys do this one. And,
Yeah.
you know, pokey guys and scallopers, you guys do map number 3. Whatever, you guys can figure out what the best split is on those, but,
did you ever find out if the coordinates for saying pogies, I mean, if that was public records or not?
no, I didn't. I thought he was gonna
Matt?
check on that, and I don't know if he did or not.
Matt was gonna.
Yeah.
I think he did mention that he's in contact with the.
Yeah, he was gonna-
That guy, and he said he could get it to him,
Yeah.
but he's just making sure all the privacy stuff
Yep.
is taken.
I know they get weird about all that.
So people who, the idea of people who can't be there, don't want to be there, can provide them maps, and then whoever gets them to people would bring them back here?
Yeah, we'll have like, we'll have the little versions there on a table too. It's gonna look like a lot, because there's 18 of them to cover the whole subject that's up there, but people are gonna know like, oh, that's my area, and they can take that one home. And, yeah, and like I said, if they don't wanna do it there, or if it's like, you know,
But I'm
someone's-
thinking about getting it back
Yeah.
here.
If we are able to just ask them, hey, when you're done, can you bring it back to the town office and just drop it off? If we can put a box out there and they won't mind to just have people drop their maps in there, and then if you guys think it's an okay idea to leave these hanging in the entryway, I don't know, is it cluttered out front? I don't know what it looks like right now.
yeah, we can make it happen.
Okay, and leave some pens there and let people know, like, you can come add to it if you didn't get a chance, or if you know someone that couldn't make it, and then, you know, we'll have the other 2 meetings too.
maybe some instructions on how to market to?
Yes, I know. I'm kind of worried about how the first run is going to go. That's why I'm really uptight that I'm not going to be there for the first one. But I trust everyone here. We're all kind of got a gist of what's going on, so I'm hoping like everybody on the committee can kind of shepherd everybody into the right direction for what we want them to do.
I think we can manage.
Yeah.
Who's coming?
We
To
don't
the
know.
first meeting? No, I think he means of
Sunday.
us.
I'll be there.
All of us?
I'll be there,
I'll
everyone.
be late probably, because I'm gonna be dipping traps this weekend, so I'm gonna run to town to fill propane bottles when I get in, so. Whoever thinks that they might be there first, like to set up or whatever, I'll make sure that you have, my mother-in-law's number. I
Are you-
assume it'll be unlocked and all that, but, or I can check with her, but.
You're going down early, Paul? Can you?
I'm not planning to attend these.
Oh, you're not going?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is the key where it used to be? Because
People
I
continue
used to
getting
know
pissed
where it
off when I'm
was.
there.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay.
I just, anytime I've been there, it's been unlocked, but I'll double check with her that it will be unlocked or that where the key will be, whatnot. But just
Okay.
whoever,
Yeah, just let me know.
all right,
Yeah.
2 minutes down the road.
okay.
I can drop the stuff off. I actually have a meeting here at 3, my road negotiation meeting. Been planned for months.
Yeah.
I'd rather be not that.
So
They're
Dana
all
in
mad
the
at
back,
me.
if I like texted Hattie now and I'm like, hey, can you make 2 more maps real quick, or however many we want, would you be able to help get them up here from the Darling Center before the 15th, or are you gonna be off grid
They're all the
for?
way all next week.
Okay,
I can rip
Get-
up there
okay.
if need be. Just let me know
All right.
what day and.
great.
Oh. Yeah, you can. I can.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'd like to, I didn't want to be late for it, but I'll have to, I'll be as timely as I can.
I'll make sure everything's there. If, you can get the meeting going. Have you talked to anybody down the interstate who might be showing up?
No, I haven't.
You know, we gotta see how attendance is gonna be.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
If we have crappy attendance at meeting 1, do we
Yeah.
rethink about it, meeting 2?
Yeah.
Combine
You know,
them, maybe?
Think about.
What's that?
Combine them for a second one, if
No.
we have to.
But the other thing that Jerry did when he did the first one is he actually drove around town to the piers, to the wharfs. and
Mhm.
got,
Yeah.
That was successful, so
Yeah.
I think that could be,
I can use one of our platforms too, just take a template and just make sure it circulates.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jerry, if you take the marine resource and harbor management note, there's a post for the town one. If you want to just share that, it has all the dates and the times.
Yeah, I can
Just do that, that might get
spreads.
a bigger audience.
It was a good post. It was very pretty.
Yeah, and we always have time, I mean, I think it's good that we, got these set up as quick as we did, but, we always have, after this, like you say, we see how the first one goes. There's always time after, in October to go to
Yeah.
wharves or.
Patch some
whatever.
holes, yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
people hauling on Sundays now.
Yep.
yeah.
I did send it out to all the,
Let's take it that one.
yeah, I did send it out to all the commercial mooring holders. So they should have at least gotten.
I haven't talked to anybody, I haven't been around the wharf much the last couple of weeks, but I'll make sure, especially before the Kellogg Church one,
Yeah.
that I can put something up down there. Print off, like a picture of whatever
Yeah, we can print
whatever the
something off.
post is or something, I can print that off and put it up down there.
I've talked to a few people down at Glenn's and Cooks.
Good. Yeah.
I don't know if we can go, but
We'll have half these attendance.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't want this to weigh on the engagement. I mean, there's a lot of busy fishermen out there, and I'm not gonna watch valuable fishing grounds get absorbed by aquaculture because guys simply didn't have a chance, even though we got 3 there. I mean, it can be challenging,
Yeah.
So,
we can do it later in the year.
yeah.
Yep.
Paul, did you find out any more about, asking like any LPAs coming forward that they go through the marine resources first, or I remember you mentioning?
No, so I think that was based off my comment with future legislation to get.
Yeah.
So LPAs, we do have them come to the Harbor and Waterfront Committee.
Yeah, I
If
thought
they're-
that was-
If they're a subtitle, and if they're intertitle, obviously they come to the Marine Resource Committee.
Yeah.
Would you like to see all LPAs,
Yeah.
regardless, coming to the Marine Resource Committee?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we can do that internally, that's no problem.
Because like I said, you know, once we get this charted out, still, I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, I'd like to see every lease proposal come before us, you know? And it might be suitable even in places that we have highlighted. I mean, really, that's the way it should be done. I think, so,
Yeah, well, I'm still hopeful that, you know, maybe by the end of this process that we could, you know, help to spur some sort of
Yeah.
legislative change that, you know.
oh, we have
could-
to.
Could include that, or.
I mean, look at
or,
the
you
attention
know,
we've already got, so,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't wanna waste this opportunity,
No.
so.
You asked me is this okay? You asked me last time about the legislative process. So if a bill for next session, which starts in January, if we're ready, if there's a bill we want to put in, the deadline for putting bills in has been right at the end of December. There's some talk about it maybe changing a bit, but it would be not yet. You know,
Yeah.
it would be in the late fall, early winter, possibly January. And then committees get formed. And then maybe February, late January, February is when they start to go to committee.
And Jay, can we do like a placeholder bill and then fill in the?
Oh.
They don't like that, sorry.
Lots of controversy about those
Okay.
placeholder bills. I think it was very abused this time, so they're trying to put limits on. So you need a sponsor, that's why Ellison was here, I think she was interested, I think she'd be a great champion. And she's the House Chair of the Marine Resources Committee, and I assume would be again, everybody's running for reelection. And then it goes to the committee, if the committee, as long as they don't say ought not to pass 100%, it goes forward it would go to the House first and then the Senate if it passes the House, and then it goes to the governor. So that's the timing wise, there's time. This is good timing
Mhm.
to be able to put it together, if that's what you decide you want to do.
Thank you.
Great. And I can start, it's going to take a little while for me to build the GIS shapefile, but I can literally start with each piece we have, I can just add that piece to the layer. So I don't have to wait until the end when we have everything. I can be doing it concurrently as we're collecting stuff. And if there's like overlapping stuff, that's fine. It'll just show up in the map. Like if, you know, 2 different lobstermen highlighted the same area, it doesn't matter. I can rectify that when I'm doing the layer. So as soon as we start getting any information at all, I'll start working on that layer, and that way we'll be able to keep right up with it and pop it out as soon as we feel like we've got enough input and we're happy with what we're looking at.
yeah. And I don't think any like legislative stuff would be like dependent on any of this, you know, 'cause any of that would be, you know, not into the specifics as much as like broadly, like, you know.
No, yeah,
Leases have to go
yeah.
to the town, you
Yeah.
know.
And
or-
you know, Harpswell is having a mapped area, you know, we're mapping our
Right.
commercial areas.
I just think it would be, you know, ideal, like, you know, if there was something that said that if towns have an ordinance,
Yep.
you know, much like the shellfish ordinance, that the state then has to, you know.
Recognize it.
Co-manage.
Yeah.
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 Is the goal to have a waters classification change at town meeting this year? Is that what the committee's goal is, which would be March?
An updated.
Updated.
water
Yeah, like would this kind of
classification.
dovetail in with the waters classification that exists, or is this like its own thing? How do you see it?
I interpret this as being, it would replace what's already currently in place. It's just an updated version,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to speak for the Harbor and Waterfront Committee, but I think they're on the same page as that.
So are you talking about what the town will do or what legislation would do?
The town.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
the town already, in the Harbor and Waterfront Ordinance, there's a waters classification map with definitions. It's basically this, only it's 2011, so it's very outdated. So it would just be an updated version of that.
would need to include a little more information than what we're gonna get, obviously,
Yep.
too, but this would be a good start.
So as far as the nuts and bolts of Sunday, like I said, I'm probably not gonna be there for the first 15, 20 minutes between Jerry, David, Sammy. Are you around?
I will not be here this Sunday, I'll be the next two.
Yep. You get the ball rolling?
How can I get you, whoever's gonna be there, the copies of the smaller prints, so I can print off a bunch tomorrow? Let me just leave them at the front desk?
Yeah.
And someone just
I
see
can run, I can run them down.
You can, okay,
Yeah.
so I'll just tell you when I.
And I'll
print them.
leave all the markers here and,
I'll leave the markers with the sheets.
yeah,
How's that? Yeah.
okay.
So you going down Darling Center like tomorrow?
I have to double check and make sure she can print more that
Oh, yeah,
fast.
Yeah, whenever.
Okay.
So,
Something comes up, you can't let me know.
Okay.
Paul, you can probably make do with what half, the ones we were using half that size, correct? And they still had ample room to, I know they were a bit cheaper.
I know how most guys get with crayons, you know, you see big spaces,
Yeah.
they wanna
Yeah.
fill it in, so.
Well, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that going on.
Well, no, the ones that we used, what were they, I wanna say 19 by, actually, they were bigger than that, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were half that size.
25 by
Yep,
30s maybe.
Did you give it Staples?
yep.
So you're gonna get materials to Cundy's?
What's that?
You're gonna get the materials to Cundy's?
Horizontal.
Horizontal.
Oh, that's the first one.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, thank
I
you.
guess, yeah, there's a backup to, you know, if you can't get ones like that, you know. That-
Well, get the smaller ones at Staples.
Yeah.
That's pretty good though.
I go bigger the better.
yeah, that was, I could only get them this big from Staples if I ordered it and had to wait like 2 weeks for it to
Yeah.
come in. And then this is as big as the Darling Marine Center chart plotter printer can go, and that's pretty much as big as we're gonna get. She probably could have stretched it out a little more, but I'm not complaining. She did a great job. You know.
She has tomorrow and Friday, so.
I'm emailing her right now, like, okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other information we wanna get out of the meeting when people are there, like, obviously we're gonna map, but do we wanna find out while we're there, any more information that people have or wanna tell us about their experience with aquaculture, or?
Their thoughts of how we're approaching this, I think, if they wanna leave a comment, that'd be good.
Yeah.
We just might want to get their take on,
Yeah,
you know, their view. You know, we all have our own views, but it's really, would be important.
yeah.
Put that on the sign-up sheet maybe? when they
Or
get the
just,
list.
just have a conversation at the end and someone could take notes, maybe like, does anyone else want to bring up any other information they have about, you know, the challenges, the, you know, the issues, the good things, the bad things, you know, I'm sure we're not trying to do all bad here, but.
Yeah.
I don't know, you have people there, so any other information you can get from people.
Are you talking specific to aquaculture or broader? Or whatever people
Related
wanna
to
talk
aquaculture, yeah, I would
Yeah.
say that their experience, good experiences or bad experiences, any other information that, you know, at the end, be like, are we missing anything? Should we find any other information? Should this map include anything else?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I like that. Like, this is our big chance to kind of get it all together and
Yeah.
see what we're looking at, so.
Good and bad.
Yeah, exactly. We should just have a realistic idea about what we're doing.
Any specifics on the timeline, we're gonna be telling people, you know, not from 1945, but, you know, from like the last decade maybe.
Yeah.
Historically, try to stay in that realm.
Yeah,
At
I
least
think it-
2011 to now.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
And I would also focus on the trends, the future trends, what people think, you know, where we are now. A little bit about where things have been, where things are, and where people think they might go. You know, that, we're not fishing here right now, but we really think that, you know, in a few years, the water's changing, we might go there, you know? I don't know if that makes sense, but when we try to plan for things, we're always trying to think like, what's the next thing? What's the trend? You guys, you're on the water every day, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty reactive, you know? I mean, I think that's the most important thing when it comes to that, is that this continues to be updated
Yeah.
going down the road, you know?
Yep.
I've seen a huge change in the bay.
Oh, yeah.
In 5 years.
But-
I've never seen. it's
I
the
couldn't,
same.
I couldn't have guessed any of it, though,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
But I think getting that information, whether it's on a map or just hearing someone's words about what they've seen on the water, you know, the things, the good things and the bad things, about where they think things may go, that's information we want. Because at some point, we're probably going to write something. We're not just gonna have a map, we're gonna write something
Yep.
like, this is the current state of affairs, this is what we think we should be looking at, you know, this map, this information. You know, the state should be doing this for us, and this for us, and this for us, and.
It's essentially marine spatial planning and
Yeah,
policy at a
exactly.
very local
That's
level.
gonna require some writing as well,
Yep.
so we're gonna wanna have, not just a map.
I love that we're doing it too. I love that Harpswell's doing this.
Yeah, me too.
I have a soft spot for this place. It's a good
Well,
town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's showing our morals. I mean,
Yeah.
we're identifying fishing grounds, and at least I have accepted the fact that when you have a large-scale top culture, you're creating abnormal levels off the chart, and you're gonna see negative consequences down the road. If you don't think that, then I don't know what to tell you. But
The DMR doing studies on that as we speak.
Are they, or are you asking a question?
I thought they were.
Oh. I don't know.
I think Dana didn't you mention something about that? About, maybe it was the Darling Marine Center trying to get a grant for reading the water column and what's in it?
Oh, yeah, they didn't get
Nobody
that
was.
though.
Yeah, I don't know about the water column stuff, but I do recall in a number of cases where the department thought that mapping resources, just like you're doing, would be really a useful item for the work that they do when they're thinking about aquaculture leases. And that could plan, that documenting and then the planning effort around that would be useful to the department's work.
And I don't know where I get that from. I thought it came from Cole, actually. From her, but maybe not. We have ripped it up.
I heard it too, don't feel bad.
That was a good one.
What's that?
I heard the same thing.
Did you? Oh, good. All right, so where are we at? We're sort of ready for Sunday night then?
yes,
If Darcy can get that?
Yep, I just emailed her. I'm
Yeah.
like, we need a bunch more. How fast can you make them?
Yeah. and
Maybe she's
if-
still in
if
the
she can do
office
it,
for
I'll-
20 more minutes.
I'll get out and get them, Paul.
Oh, yeah?
I get it.
Is somebody gonna commit to ask those questions that you just described? I can take notes. If
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, taking notes is really important.
Yeah.
Will people mind if I'm,
No,
okay,
Definitely taking notes.
I'm
No.
happy to do that.
I'm just hoping people show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make them up. No.
you'll be editing a lot, that's for sure.
What's that? You what?
Putting some little asterisks in there.
You'll be editing a lot, that's for sure.
Well, Abby's bringing cookies, I heard.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that come to the door are gonna be like, no way, like Jerry said, just,
Bleak because of blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, bleak.
Yep.
Better off have bingo doggers
Because
on
of this,
the
bleak.
table instead of markers.
Yeah.
And the fishing.
Yeah.
Nicholas already did that. Just circle around everything. Well, any new business? I think we're stuck on old business
Yep.
for a while.
Yeah.
Taking that first step.
Yep,
It's a
Thank
big
you,
deal.
guys.
Yeah.
yep, right direction. Public comment? Mr. Hayes? We get room for public comment.
The only thing that I was thinking about as this was going through is how well do you have word out there publicized? And, in order to bring these people in, I don't think that we're just gonna talk to a fisherman, he's gonna talk to somebody else, and somebody else is gonna talk to
No.
him.
I would recommend that everybody, if you do have a Facebook page, probably to tag yourself in it
Mhm.
too. Just ask people to share. That should cross town real fast.
Yep, and I don't mind going to wharfs and stuff. I don't, my farm's slowing down and I don't fish, so I don't mind being there when guys come in and just hitting the different ones
Yeah, the
and bringing a
question
map
was,
with me.
we draw up the small maps, are we gonna put, maybe on the backside of one of them, comments too, in case
Mhm.
they don't decide
Yep.
to do it there,
Yep.
right there, already on there. so
Yep.
we don't have to-
Good idea.
You know, you
Flip
give
it
the
over.
guy 2 pages, he comes back with a half of one, so.
Guess that's it then.
All
Yes.
right.
Right.
Thanks, Darcy.
So,
I feel like you're doing all the work.
No, well, I feel I'm dipping out and leaving you guys with the first meeting here. I'm sorry
Wait,
about that, but.
You gave us a good jump.
Okay.
You're forgiven.
Okay,
If
good.
you need to be.
I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm optimistic.
I-
I mean, I don't know what to expect, but I'm hopeful that enough people will participate that we'll have like
Yeah.
a good starting base anyway.
I mean, the first draft you guys did was awesome. It's
Yeah.
gonna work. It's gonna
Yep.
be great.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good information on that, guys.
Yeah.
I think we had a slow start, but I think we're headed in the right direction.
so is that gonna be, where's that gonna be until the meeting? Is that gonna be here?
Probably right there.
Okay.
You want to start putting stuff on it
Well, if
now?
you want, yeah. I
It'd be
was just
nice to
thinking-
do
I
an
was just thinking
example, so you
You
could-
had mentioned
yeah.
that, like.
So if you put like a nicely defined area, just to
Marking
give
a
people a
little
rough idea of like, oh, that's what they're looking for, not, scribble it all in completely. It would be,
Yeah.
look, we're gonna have to figure out how that's gonna work anyway. I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not, it's gonna be, I mean, there's no point, there are areas, large areas.
Yes.
That I fish that, I mean, there's no point in me drawing a line and a line and a line and a line when the fact of the matter is that you couldn't get an aquaculture farm in, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I might as well just,
Make a big triangle or whatever.
because
That's
you
totally
couldn't-
legitimate, as long as it's not like all of Harpswell Sound and, you know what I mean, like, just, you'll figure it out, like.
right, yeah,
So,
but it's, yeah, there's only, so, yeah.
I have one comment that I kind of forgot to bring up. We've been seeing seaweed farms a lot, and that's a seasonal fishery, which can be a good thing. So I don't know if we want to bring up any type of seasonality to this, like, what, this area here is prime in the summertime, but we don't really fish there in the fall or the winter.
that's
That
not
would
a
be-
bad idea, because
that-
seaweed's really just a winter thing,
That would be
so-
really good information for
Yeah.
our community to
Oh.
have, because
Yeah,
people are
good
always
point.
like, Matt was always saying, I'm there till October, don't you know?
Yep.
Right,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
You just may want to ask that question about.
Yeah, seasonality is important.
Seasonality.
And they can write that into the
Well,
permits as part of the, like, you may have your gear in the water from this time to that time, and then you have to have it out. So if we are able to give them that information, that works out
Right,
nice.
yeah.
So
I
we've
mean,
had a seaweed.
I don't know how I don't know how to work out, like, marking, like, color, like, we're already using colors to differentiate fisheries, so, like.
We can maybe, like,
winter
review
versus-
it
winter
afterwards.
versus
You just might want to
fall.
ask people, be like,
I
this
mean,
area.
it's not, yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to differentiate.
So we had a
fall.
seaweed lease, I think it was like right here.
Right by Long Island, keep going up.
Right here, and the guy wanted to put them like right there, and we said, okay, but when you're done with it in April, the moorings need to be removed so guys can
Oh,
fish
yeah.
there. So that's
Right.
kinda cool. He's like,
Yeah.
no problem, Mo. He's like, is that hard? I'm like, no, you can do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a good, that was
Yeah.
the point of
Right,
like, no one's
right.
fishing there,
Yeah.
during the winter time, and then the
Yeah.
summertime, the moorings are gone.
The
Because
only
the balls
thing-
would
Yep.
totally screw up,
Yeah,
seine fishermen or
Yeah.
whatever, so.
Not the
Right.
bad, it was a local guy too.
Yep.
yeah, that was the only, like, original issue the guys had, because from the start, obviously, like, the kelp farming was, kind of touted as being.
Your winter option,
As being,
and it's the opposite.
yeah, coexisting well with lobstering in the bay.
Yeah.
And I know there were some grumpy people, at a couple of farms, because it was like, well, yeah, but they left all their moorings and
Yep.
we can't, so, yeah, that's the only thing. And then the only other thing, conflict really in the bay in the winter would be like scallop beds,
Right.
things like that.
Yeah, well,
If you'd entertain a comment from the audience.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Moses Price.
come on up to a mic.
Live on the next one, sorry. price of them on the neck. I have a suggestion, perhaps if you're coloring in areas that are seasonal, why don't you put an S in that coloring for summer and a W for winter? Would that make it simplified?
I wonder if we get the seaweed farmer to come to one of our meetings, or even show up.
I mean, it's also something we could roll in over time, like, once we start making the layers, then I can project the layers, and you guys can point out, like, oh, okay, well, now we'll do the seasonality, or we can evolve, or we can kind of, there's a lot of ways we can come at it, so I don't think it's an impossible
Well, I think the
task.
scallop grounds, that's gonna be important for that fishery.
Yep.
You know what I mean, to make sure we identify that.
Yep.
To make sure those guys stay out of their way. So we are gonna get some good information.
Yep.
For sure.
Are people going to be able to mark seaweed on here? We're not, those,
No.
No, this is
Marine.
just for commercial fisheries right now, like, the
Right.
aquaculture stuff is, I think that's part of rolling them into the discussion maybe, as we're figuring out what policies are
But
we
not-
aiming at for this, but for now, we need just that baseline
Yeah.
documented
Existing
fishing
uses.
grounds.
Even
There
though
is-
this
there is a
isn't
rockweed harvester that's
aquaculture
coming.
group,
Oh,
this is
okay, in a
commercial
good frame of mind?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes, no, yeah, he's, they're
concerns
great.
of
Nice.
commercial fishing.
yeah.
Commercial rockweed harvester? Yeah, okay.
From Beth's Way.
Oh, cool. Glad
When's
to
he
know.
go? Sunday?
What's that?
He's coming Sunday?
He didn't say which one he's coming to.
Oh, okay. Who is it?
Greg Toby.
Oh, yeah.
Be cool to have
Yeah.
discussion about that too.
Yeah.
I would assume that that is largely
Right on the
kind of
edges.
nomadic,
Yeah.
like, working area, but what, areas that are good.
Right.
Good for that, would be good to have. too.
So, Paul, the issue of getting gear out for the seasonal, that isn't something that's required. It's.
It would have to be written into the permit, the way that they
Right.
are approved. You can't do it after the fact. You should have it,
And
like,
it's-
as they apply and write everything in, and then the commissioner reviews it, it would have to be, like, all written in at that point.
So that's state level. So I'm wondering, is that something you want to consider?
I don't think we need to change anything. I think that's the conversation to have between the applicant and the town, and have it go to the state all written up the way that it works, instead of trying to add some additional layer of
So
something
this is,
else.
this is the
In an
perfect
ideal-
example. So
in an
he,
ideal world.
he didn't know that the town of Harpswell reviews leases. No one does, and because this is an internal thing. And it's not a requirement that he brings these to the town. So he applied and said that the moorings will stay in place in his application. Then DMR says, hey, did you know the town of Harpswell has a problem with your proposal? No, I don't know, I didn't know. So we came to the last harbor and waterfront meeting, talked to the committee, and the fishermen in the committee said, hey, if you just remove your moorings, you're good to go. We'll sign off on that, or we'll endorse you. So we went back to DMR, and DMR said, sorry, you already submitted your application with it, you're gonna leave them, you gotta start all over again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and at that meeting, he was very frustrated that this is,
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Working on this thing for 9 months already.
Yeah.
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 It
Yeah,
still
and they don't
seems-
renew your, like, fee. You have to, like, pay again.
Do you really?
And- Yeah,
It's unreal.
yeah.
It still seems like that could be part of,
Let's let somebody else deal with
Well,
that. Let's just
but it-
clean up our neighborhood first, and then.
it is our neighborhood.
Well,
I'm just suggesting, we don't have a fixed what we're gonna do yet.
Mhm.
If we do legislation, saying this could be an important issue that could be rolled in. or
I just
not.
don't want to, I don't want to prick at DMR and get them uptight with what we're doing.
But I think it'll be in our
I think
report.
that'd be
We'll have
for
a
their
list.
benefit.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a good thing to have, like, well,
I
here's
think
our
at the end,
comments.
We're gonna write something that
Yep.
says, all this stuff, all the information, and then we suggest that these things happen, and it could be one of these things,
Yep.
The committee suggests that a seaweed harvester or seaweed aquaculture removes seasonal moorings,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something. We'll have a list of 10 things or 5 things or whatever. I think that, we'll want to write that down.
Yeah.
No, there needs to be a lot of changes in their process. I mean, I'm fighting with an experimenter that I submitted almost 3 years ago. I want to remove the gear. They won't let me remove my gear to appease homeowners, riparians. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So they're going through this lengthy ordeal, and it's like, I've already commented that I want to remove my gear, but yet I don't understand that, especially when you want to remove something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there should be some simple things that
Yeah.
are just
Yeah.
pencil off, pencil whip stuff, but.
Yeah.
At the very least, I mean, there's lots of things that I've found to be ridiculous when it comes to the
Yeah,
aquaculture leasing.
yeah.
program, but, you know, at least for Harpswell, like, if we could get it so that they have to come through us, or, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting these layers done and all of this stuff documented, I think will be really the first community that's got our act together and has like, okay, here's our information and here's our system. And I think it will lead to leases that come through the town are gonna be clean, they're gonna mesh well, there's not gonna be all this conflict, and then by the time the DMR is reviewing them, there's not gonna be stuff that needs to get changed. It'll be, everybody that's involved is reasonably okay with what's gonna go through there, so. It'd be nice to think that's how it could be in all the towns, but
Right.
let's just start here and
But
see.
trying to completely rebuild, you know, I mean, even trying to get legislation passed,
Yeah.
you know, that would rebuild the leasing program, I mean, then you're gonna have
That's a job, that's a huge.
lots of people fighting over,
Yep.
you know, this and that, and little details and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's just why I think, you know.
If we keep it simple and just say, we've done
Yeah.
this and we would like it to work this way in our town, and then however, you know, other people can adopt the same strategy or choose not to, or leave it the Wild West, you know, whatever works for them, but.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, we're adjourned.
Oh, hang on, Dana has a.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
Out of order
Spoil it,
question.
Dan. Yeah, sorry.
I didn't see his
I
hand.
don't hold everybody up. But there was a little bit of talk earlier about Facebook posts and kind of getting the word out.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if it would be useful, or basically, like, if I could have your permission, just to say a little bit about what's going on here, not get into details, and maybe recommend people to come and either speak with one of you or just to kind of keep tabs. And what I'm thinking specifically about is the town of Waldoboro, that's expressed, and I think they adopted an aquaculture moratorium. And one of the things that they wanted to do, this was back at a meeting in January, I think it was, they said they wanted to do an environmental characterization. Let's find out what we got. And it sounds very much like what you're doing, although maybe they were talking about water quality sampling and that kind of stuff. So I had a conversation with Julie Kaiser, this is a couple months ago, and said, Harpswell's doing some really, they're talking about doing some pretty interesting things. And the other town that comes to mind is South Bristol. And so in my job, I kind of travel the coast and talk to different people. I just want to know if it's okay, or what your advice might be to let them know about the discussions that you're having, and would that be helpful, and what the ground rules ought to be, that kind of stuff.
No, it's not a secret.
Yeah, I love participation. I just don't want to see our meetings turn into like brawls over, you know, conflicting opinions about stuff and not get the work done that we're hoping to get done. Let's, you know, we have a purpose, and I want as much inclusion as possible. I just don't want it to, you know, become not working in a good direction.
So maybe, are you saying better to?
No, let them
share-
come and let
No,
them, you know.
no, I meant, let me finish.
Yeah.
Better to share once we get this, that would go to other, you know, as a sample for anybody who wants to use it, as opposed to inviting to any.
I don't know, were you talking about inviting a bunch of people
No.
to our process?
Just
or
saying, hey, I know this is a conversation in your town. I'm thinking about Waldoboro again here. I know this is a conversation in your town. You might want to take a look at what's going on in Harpswell and kind of maybe give another detail or two, but leave it there and leave it in their ballpark as to whether or not they'd like to contact you. Do that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we have another meeting about to start, so we gotta
Alrighty.
skedaddle.
Bloop.
Thank you, guys.
You gotta skedaddle.
Have a good night.